Hi guys, this is Ranjit, and in this video let's do the full review of this OnePlus Nord, the new mid-range Android smartphone by OnePlus. And like usual guys, I'll divide the video between pros and cons, what do I like, so that you can make an informed decision if this smartphone is the right smartphone for you or not. So let's look at it, and here are the specs of the OnePlus Nord. And as you can see, it comes with a 6.44-inch AMOLED screen. It's powered by the new Snapdragon 765 SoC, has a quad rear-facing camera, and other specs are on the screen for your reference. So let's break it down with the pros and cons. First, let's talk about the good things that I noticed with this device. The first thing that I noticed about this device is the weight balance. In the hand, it feels actually comfortable to hold. Though it's not the lightest phone, guys, it's actually having a 184 grams. So I thought it'll be heavy, but the weight balance has been done well on this smartphone. And also, though it's having that 6.4-inch screen, I feel this is a comfortable size, not very big like 6.6 etc. So again, easy to use. Now in terms of general performance, also the general performance was actually really good thanks to the Snapdragon 765 SoC. This is very similar to the 730, which is a good chipset, as you can see. And again, it handles everything you throw on this smartphone fine, so you don't have to worry about performance, daily usage and stuff like that. No lags or anything that I noticed. And the biggest advantage that we have with any OnePlus device is Oxygen OS. So we are still getting that Oxygen OS on this one, and it is fluid to run, no issues. Again, I like that they don't put a lot of bloatware or junk apps also. So that's what we have. So that's not a problem on this phone. So, and in fact, I got actually 2 OTA updates during the time frame of my testing of this smartphone. Now moving to the call quality, here in Hyderabad I tested this one with Airtel as well as Jio. As you can see, I mostly used it in the dual SIM mode, and I have to say, in terms of network reception, I would say the network reception on this smartphone was good. Even in my office where I have low connectivity with Airtel, I could take calls, so that was not an issue. Also, I like the fact that they did not compromise on the earpiece. The earpiece quality is good, so the call clarity was very good, and the speaker is also adequately loud. I wouldn't say this is the best speaker. It can get actually really loud, but what I noticed is that the speaker is slightly on the shriller side, so it tries to the sound gets a little bit shrill. But again, in terms of loudness, though it's a single speaker, I did not have a problem. The microphone quality was also good, so in those areas I did not have any issues. Now moving to the AMOLED screen, this is having a 6.44-inch AMOLED screen, and again it also has that 90 Hertz display, and I would say the screen quality is fine in regular usage. I'll come back to one con that I noticed, but again I think so that is sort of nitpicking, so we'll talk about that later. But overall, I would say the screen was good. The only thing that I noticed is that the auto brightness calibration could have been better. I have kept it on manual right now because it fluctuates quite a bit. And also in terms of the peak brightness, that is when you go outside when there's a lot of sun, I feel the peak brightness is not that high. But in general usage, in office and home, I did not have a problem. But again, I won't complain too much about the peak brightness also, because generally that peak brightness is very high on very high-end smartphones. So that's regarding the screen. I'll talk about one con about the screen in the later part of the section. And moving to it's an AMOLED screen, we do have that in-display fingerprint scanner, and generally OnePlus puts good in-display fingerprint scanners, so that's the same case even with this one. I never had an issue with the fingerprint scanner. Moving to another thing that I liked is that we always know that OnePlus supplies that fast charging. Earlier used to dash charger, now they call it WRAP. We get still that 30-watt WRAP charger, and it charges this device very quickly. But I was surprised that, and I'm happy that if you don't use that OnePlus charger also, if you use some other chargers like PD chargers, power delivery chargers, or Qualcomm quick chargers, then also it charges fairly rapidly. That was the problem with some of the earlier OnePlus devices. If you didn't use the OnePlus chargers, they used to charge very slowly, just about at 6 watts or 7 watts. That's not the case. So if you forget that dash charger or that WRAP charger, you can charge it with some other chargers, and then also it charges pretty rapidly. So that's actually a good thing. I thought they will skimp it on the Nord, but I'm glad to see that functionality is there. Now moving to another thing is regarding the battery, as we are talking about that. It has a 4115 milliamp hour battery, and I have to say the battery life that I was getting on this smartphone is actually good. Let me divide it in two scenarios. If you're sort of a casual user, you're not a very heavy user, it can go almost about 2 days worth of battery life. As you can see from these screenshots, I did not use the phone heavily because I was testing some laptops, and this day we got almost over 2 days worth of battery life. And if you're even sort of a heavy user, then also it should give you battery life over 24 hours. As you can see, got easily over about 7 hours of SOT. So the battery life is good. But again guys, this SOT time does not include any gaming. So if you do gaming, the SOT will come out a little bit, but I was mostly using it on the 90 hertz. So in terms of battery life, I would say very comfortable battery life, and for most users, easily 1 day to about 1.5 days of battery life that you should expect on this one. Now moving to the camera here, oh my god, I have to divide it between good, bad and the ugly. The good is that if you look at the back, OnePlus always claims this is a quad camera sensor, and they're telling the 48 megapixel is the same as found on the regular OnePlus 8. In fact, I feel the camera quality is not as good as OnePlus 8. Later on, I'll show you some samples that I took even with the OnePlus 8, and this one side by side we'll compare. But if we talk about the regular camera, 48 megapixel, in regular conditions, that's outdoors, it does a decent job. But when we move to indoor conditions, I feel the camera is very weak. Even the second camera, that is that ultra wide, outdoors it is sort of okay, but indoors it struggles quite a bit. So definitely I would say in terms of camera performance, if you are expecting a lot, you might be disappointed. I also compared it with the Poco X2, took some random samples. Definitely the Poco had way better camera performance. I'm talking about the main camera, not even the others. So again, in camera, it's hit or a miss. Outdoors, when you have ample lighting, yes, you can get some decent shots. But if you just move indoor and the lighting conditions fall down a little bit, then the camera struggles quite a bit on this one. This is the ugly part. What I noticed is that if you notice, we have other two cameras also. The third one is that 5 megapixel for depth, that bokeh effect and all this. And lastly, we have a 2 megapixel for macro. Again, I would say the macro lens, that 2 megapixel is simply not that good. So don't even bother about it. But what I'm really disappointed is the 5 megapixel depth camera. For example, if you go to the portrait mode, let me just go over here, and if you go to the portrait mode, it will say depth effect, and this will actually become green. If I move out a little bit, it will happen. And yeah, as you can see, this works. And you might be assuming that it is now using this third lens to get that depth effect, but the thing is that it is simply not doing that. Even when I just hit these two cameras with my finger and took the photos in the portrait mode, I got that depth effect. Here is a sample. For example, this was first taken in the regular mode. We did not hide this, and in this picture I told my daughter to actually hide these two cameras with her finger. Finger is also slightly visible. Then also you can see you got that depth effect. So they are simply not using the third camera. So I don't get the point. Why did they implement all these cameras if you're not just using it? They could have just given a 2 camera and done a better job, maybe a better wide angle camera, or worked a lot more on the 48 megapixel one, but that was not the case. So I feel here it's the hype and the gimmicks that they are doing with the camera. I'm really unhappy with that. Moving to the front facing camera, here again I would say outdoor the 32 megapixel camera does actually a pretty good job. But again, I was very surprised that many of the indoor photos, not even like dull lighting, the camera does struggle quite a bit, and also the pictures do not come that sharp. That's the same case even with the ultra wide. Again, you have to be careful indoors if static pictures with the ultra wide, because indoors the pictures are very, very soft. So cameras, yes, on paper you have that quad camera at the back and 2 cameras at the front, but the actual camera performance, specifically if you shoot indoors, etc., it's actually pretty weak in my frank opinion. And here are some of the samples, the videos that I took with the front-facing camera. Recording this video with the front-facing camera of this OnePlus Nord. This is in the normal lens, and you can also record in wide angle. So let me just quickly move to the wide angle and show you. So this is the wide angle lens, and as you can see, now we have a lot more area. And again, this is great for vlogging and stuff. You can capture a lot more, and if even two people are there in the frame, then it's good. But the thing to note is that once you start recording, you can't shift between the regular or the wide angle mode. Now, as OnePlus says, the 48 megapixel camera is the same as the found on the OnePlus 8, guys. So here I took some samples side by side with the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus Nord, and clearly, as you can see, the Nord's 48 megapixel camera is nowhere a match to the OnePlus 8. So if you are just going with that hype and thinking it's the same camera performance that you'll get with the OnePlus 8, you will be disappointed. As you can see, the OnePlus 8 camera is definitely sharper. The image processing is far better on the OnePlus 8 compared to the Nord. And as I've told you, even with the Poco, I was taking some shots. The shots that I took with the Poco X2 came out really good. So I feel the camera got a lot of hype, but when we look at the actual pictures, they are not bad, but they are not that great also. So that's regarding the camera, and let's move to the next con that I have. And as I've told you, the max brightness, if you mostly use it outdoors, it might be an issue, but indoors and stuff, it is fine. Next thing is that if you notice this, what do you say, chases that we call of the phone, it looks metallic, guys, but it is actually inside made of completely of plastic. Again, watch the video of Jerry Riggs. He did that hue, and so again, you have to be careful about it. And at this price point, I was frankly expecting a metallic chases. It's just the metallic metal inside. It's just plastic, guys. So that is also something you have to be aware of. Now, another thing that I do not like is that this phone simply does not have any 3.5mm headphone jack. So that is something that really bugs me out. It does not have a stereo speaker setup, nor this headphone jack, and they don't even bundle a dongle in the box. So again, beware of that. You might have to invest a little bit extra on Bluetooth headset. And another thing is that this is regarding the screen issue that many of you have tweeted me about this one. And this happens when you keep the brightness at 0, that is almost 0, and in completely night situations there is that screen blotchiness that many of you have said. I tried that, guys, in a pitch dark room, as you can see with the screenshot. Lowered the brightness, open the Chrome browser, and yes, you can see that screen deformity issue. But again, guys, in my normal usage, I did not notice this issue when I was just using it normally. So I think so that's an extreme case situation. If you are using this smartphone at completely night without any light source and using at minimum brightness, then you might notice some blotchiness. But in regular usage, I did not notice that. Just want to make it very clear. I just don't want to bash brands for something that is unexpected, in some specific scenario only that happens. In normal situations, it did not happen to me. And lastly is regarding haptic feedback also. The haptic feedback is actually pretty weak on this smartphone. That is what I have noticed. So guys, these were the pros and cons of this smartphone. Certainly, I would say this is a pretty good smartphone. It's not a bad smartphone, but again, I won't say this is also the ideal mid-range smartphone, considering the camera performance that we saw, that depth camera is fake, and some of the other issues that I've highlighted. So I would say the big plus point of the smartphone is that oxygen overs that you are getting. Still, because of that, it is a very fluid smartphone. But this smartphone is not without its flaws. I'm not saying you not to buy this smartphone. In fact, I would urge you to buy it and buy it from my affiliate link. That will help me because I have to buy a lot of smartphones these days. But again, I just don't want you to buy it blindly. Weigh down the pros and cons. And if those cons, what I have mentioned, are okay with you, then go ahead and buy it. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. And guys, I can do a camera comparison because on Twitter I saw a lot of you guys were asking me to compare this smartphone with some of the other smartphones. So if you guys want, I can do only one comparison, guys. I can compare the camera with the Poco X2 or the Redmi K20 Pro. Let me know if you want that, with which device, and I'll definitely try to do that and see how the camera stacks up of this Nord with those smartphones. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.